happy Corona. I'm gonna say happy Corona because it sounds a lot better than happy apocalypse or some shit like that. Anyways, I've decided to spend this time actually trying to create content, videos that have kind of been lingering because we're time constraints. So one thing I want to talk about today are things that you can do like about a relationship, things about relationships after abuse. I was in an abusive relationship for 9 years. And, there's a lot that happens to you when you're not in a good relationship, when you're in a really toxic relationship, when you're with a really toxic person. The way you process, the way you learn to cope is altered if you're able to be in a relationship with somebody like that for a certain amount of time. And even though you don't think it is, or even though you don't notice it at the time, it definitely has. And there are ways that you have to learn to now go out in the world that are different from what your partner, the abusive partner, was trying to feed to you or told you, or things that you might have thought were cute. They're really, really toxic and abusive. So that's what I want to talk about now, because it took me a little while to even recognize some of those things or think about some of those things. So for me, I was lucky enough where I was actually sorry y'all, Corona fucking with the lashes, child. Corona's fucking with the lashes, but that's why I keep doing this, because I'm like I'm like, see stuff, I see the lashes, I'm trying to get past my weeks. But anyways, so let's start with number one. So learning to be alone and actually enjoying it. So it took me such a long time to get to that point. So like when you're with a really abusive person, they try to monopolize all your time, right? They always try to keep tabs on you. They know where you are. They try for you to never have alone time from them. If it's meant, well, either mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, financially, any of that kind of stuff. Like they want you to be intertwined with them so that you need them, so you become dependent. And that's how codependency starts, right? When you make somebody codependent on you, even if you do fucked up shit, they still feel like they need you. They still feel like they need you. So they create that dynamic for you where you never really get that space from them. Because if you did get physical, emotional, mental, particularly, space from them, you might start to think of things differently. You might start to realize that some things that you are okay with, or they portray as okay, is not. So that was really hard for me. I had never actually had a break from this person outside maybe a week. Even that week that we were separated, we still kind of communicated via like really weird email messages. But for the most part, we never had an emotional, mental, and or physical break from each other for an extended period of time. And I realized that makes sense. Like, even when things would get like tense, and then I would start to kind of, after some time, like, I'm over even trying to like, make up or whatever. Like, he would come back after some time. Like, he would never let things really linger over 2 weeks. And I feel like for me personally, I noticed that that's like my time period where after like 2 weeks of just like trying, I kind of get like, all right, you're blaming me for everything. So like that's where I start to kind of look at the situation like wholly and in real, like the real situation, and not the clouded part that the abuser wants me to look at. And so I feel like he always knew that, and so he never let it go past that. So that's one huge thing. Once I started to learn how to be alone and I liked it and I enjoyed myself, to this day, y'all, there's so many things I do alone. Like honestly, outside of my kids, I spend a lot of time with myself. Like prior, people who know me will tell you I would have never gone to the movies by myself, gone to the bar by myself, just shit like that. Like I would have never done by myself. And I had to force myself to start doing stuff by myself. At first, it was really, really hard, y'all. It was hard. It like hurt me in my soul because it's not what I was used to. But once I got used to it and I got used to the solace and just started enjoying my own company and started enjoying the fact that like I was having fun, I wasn't being like treated fucked up, and like I was meeting other people were like gravitating towards me, there was like good vibes from people, like all of that really helped me to realize that being alone is not bad. You being single doesn't mean that you're lonely, doesn't mean that you're fucked up, doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. You're just single, that's it. You're one person, that's okay, no problems with that. So that's number one. You have to really learn how to be alone and enjoy it after abuse, because it's really, really hard. Number two, learning that silence doesn't equal the silent treatment. Now, anyone who's been with a narcissistic individual, and I mean really narcissistic personality disorder, not just like people, throw that word out so much these days as though it's just like some blase thing. No, somebody who really has NPD, who's really dealing with the personality disorder, like there's no changing them, there's no hope for them, nothing. They tend to employ the silent treatment, and the silent treatment makes somebody like myself, somebody who cares about them, someone who wants to understand, someone who wants to talk, who wants to like work things out, you don't like tension, empathetic, you end up kind of being like, well, what's wrong? What's wrong? And it hurts you that they're not speaking to you. It hurts you that you don't understand why they're not communicating back. And after some time, you start to just let go of any standards you had. So it could have been you who was like, it's not okay what you did, so therefore I'm going to try to put a boundary around it. Then they get upset at the boundary. Then they want to punish you for the boundary. And that punishment is a silent treatment. And they know it's going to hurt you. After some time, you're going to get mad. You're going to get, not even mad, but maybe you get frustrated. You start to get flustered. You start to get upset. And you just decide you want to make up. That's basically why they do the silent treatment. Because they know it's a way to let you let go of your boundaries. And then also teaches you to not do that thing again. To not have those same boundaries again with them. So I had to really learn that just because somebody is not speaking to me, or I don't get a response right away, or, we don't talk every day, that doesn't mean that they're giving me a silent treatment. Doesn't mean that they're mad. Doesn't mean that they're upset. Doesn't mean I did something wrong. So an example I'll give is I was talking to this guy. I've been talking to him for a while, and I still talk to him. But in the beginning, I remember, and I was actually pregnant at the time, and we were just talking. I sent him a text. He didn't say anything. Start freaking out. Like literally within like 5 or 10 minutes, I start freaking out. Like, oh my God, what did I say? Did I miss? Like, did I, offend him the night before? But like, I was thinking all these crazy things because that's what I was used to, So he responded like after maybe 10 minutes of me going through this in my head. I'm on my way to work, getting ready for work, and I'm thinking all this crazy stuff. He responded, and I'm like, oh my God, like it dawned on me that is something that I deal with because of this crazy person that I dealt with. And so I went to my therapist and I said, I reacted to this like this, and I realized it wasn't right, but it's something I also had to realize that there are survival mechanisms that I have put in place that I maybe not have even acknowledged or knew about, and this is one of them. And so it took me some time to realize that the silence from this person, or silence in general, doesn't mean that somebody's mad at me. If I know I didn't do nothing wrong, why would I freak out? Like I don't anymore. Even now, the person that's kind of like their MO sometimes, like might take them a while. Sometimes they respond right back. Sometimes it takes them a little while. And I don't freak out either way. I don't get anxious about it. I don't get, start to feel depressed, nothing. I just say, oh, okay, well, like, I don't really think about it, honestly. Like, I just say, okay, it is what it is. I sent the text. It is what it is, and that's how I carry those kind of interactions with men in general from now forward. But that's something I had to realize that I was carrying as a result of being in an abusive relationship. The last one is realizing that freedom equals genuine care. And this one is so big because I see so many women who are like, well, if he wants to put sanctions on you, that means that he really cares about you. Like if a guy is like, you can't do this, you can't wear that, you should come home now, because like they think those things mean they care about you genuinely. I had that. And at that time, I thought the same thing. And then I had to realize that actually that's really, really abusive, y'all. Like it's actually manipulative as hell to try to restrict somebody. A person should know what's right and what's wrong, right? A person should come to you about something. If I'm wearing something I think it might offend my partner, that should be me going to my partner saying, how do you feel about this? If I go to, like, here's a great example. I went to New York one time, hanging out with friends. He knew, we had talked about it, and I drove there. Kept calling me. From like the time I got there, I called him telling me I got there. From that time till like 2 in the morning. Kept calling me. Mind them with college friends, like nothing crazy, right? I have friends from high school who were in New York. Like, I'm very familiar with New York. I've been going there since I was 16. He just kept calling me to the point where it just like wasn't even funny anymore. I'm like, damn, this dude keep calling me. Like, I keep having to answer the phone. So finally, I was just like, okay, well, he's like, well, I just miss you. And at first, it seemed sweet, but things that he was really scared. He was so insecure that something might go on with me being out there, which is crazy because it would never. And so it just was to the point where I felt like, let me just come home. And so mind you, this was a while ago, it's years ago. But he preferred for me, after I've been drinking, having a good time, to get on the road for 3 hours to come back home just so he would feel better, just so he would be able to see me and not feel that insecurity anymore. And that restriction to other people might have been like, oh, it's so cute, he really missed you, he really cared about you. But no, someone who cares about you would not let you risk driving 3 hours through 3 states in the middle of the night, like pitch black, like 2 o'clock in the morning, just so you can get home to them because of how they feel. It's actually the opposite of caring. It's really, really inconsiderate, selfish, and it's downright, again, abusive and fucked up and manipulative. So, I realized that someone who can give you freedom actually genuinely cares about you, because they look at it like, I want you to do things that you want to do. I want you to enjoy your life. I want you to have fun. Like, all those things mean so much, y'all. And I feel like a lot of times as women, we don't realize that some of the things that we find really attractive about men is actually really, really manipulative. And I had to realize that after. Like, sometimes I see women write certain things, it's like, oh, what's my husband? So no, boo boo. It's actually fucked up. And you don't have to necessarily tell them that. Everybody has to maybe sometimes come to it on their own terms and find it on their own. But it's really interesting how you evaluate after you've left really toxic, abusive, manipulative situations like that. How you have to really look at the situation and say, there's things that I did as coping that I thought that were okay. There were things that this person groomed me to think it was okay. There were things that I had cognitive dissonance on, and I have to really kind of reset my thinking. Sometimes there are things that come up that I didn't even know were a thing until it comes up, because that's how long I've dealt with a lot of these things being normalized. So all in all, I just wanted to reach out to people who maybe been in that situation, people who haven't, that take your time, take time for yourself, heal, y'all, heal. Don't just get out of an abusive relationship and go with somebody else. Heal yourself, work on yourself, okay? Let yourself go through these emotions. Go to therapy, seek guidance spiritually, whatever works for you. But just give yourself that time to really get over it, because these things do live in imprint even when we think that they don't. All right? So peace and love, and stay safe.